Good afternoon, and welcome to Stenton, everyone, for our Giving Tuesday post-Thanksgiving Day feast. And just an update on our Giving Tuesday challenge. We have $10,000 pledged that we're trying to match today. And currently, as we approach sort of mid-afternoon here, we have about $3,500 left to raise. So if you enjoy our presentation, we hope you'll go to our webpage and make a donation to Stenton's challenge today. So thank you for that consideration. So I'm going to take you on sort of a little visit to what in a way ends up almost being a kind of Logan family multi-generational table display in Stenton's parlor, which is the room that in the first couple of generations in the 18th century, all the best dining was done here. The Chinese porcelain, all the silver was stored in the closets in these rooms. And if you're interested in hearing just more about the parlor, I'll refer you to, we do have on our website a parlor tour that we put together this summer. But we have on the table here 4 Chinese export porcelain dinner plates and sort of a larger plate in the center. And I'm just going to share with you, this is a photocopy that is now an iPad picture, so it doesn't look like the original document would, of course, but this is from the estate of Sarah Reed Logan, who died in 1754. This is James Logan's wife. And on his inventory of 1752, the china is just a specific lot. But then in her inventory, when it's going to be dispersed after her death, individual pieces are grouped together in smaller groups and evaluated for a total of 188 pounds plus. But there's a large enameled soup dish, a large burnt dish with a set of plates to suit. So that's really suggestive of something fashionable in the 1750s, that they're thinking about sets, pieces of Chinese export porcelain in sets. 2 small burnt dishes, 2 large blue and white china dishes, 3 smaller ditto of the same, 8 plates of another sort, which we've speculated these might be possibly tin glazed earthenware plates. I don't have one on the table to show you today, but that would be the same type of ceramic as our fireplace tiles are in the house. But I wanted to specifically call out and had an exchange recently with someone who does a lot of docenting in Philadelphia, wondering what exactly was burnt china. This is a kind of a curious term. But when you have Chinese export porcelain, it is usually a blue and white, which is the blue will tolerate the very high firing that the plate requires overall to become the porcelain as we know it. But then there's a second firing for this kind of what we say is sort of an above the glaze decoration with the red and the gold. And that goes on at a lower temperature so that it's kind of just burnt on. And for these that survive above ground, the gold does still survive in quite good condition. We do have some pieces from our Stenton archaeological collection where the gold particularly is a very fugitive finish and often it is gone after exposure to the elements like that. But we also have on the table some things that were imported from England, like these salt glazed stoneware cans or mugs, and we have a couple of different shapes and sizes, a more bellied shaped one, quite a small straight-sided one too, about almost the same size. And you can actually almost sort of see the way the clay would have been kind of pulled to create this molded shape and then pinched off to create that nice ear-shaped handle. Then we also have glass that was imported from England. We have 4 different air-twisted baluster stem pieces that are, so all of these things were excavated at Stenton, those that are in pieces. In 1982, as part of a feature we believe was a cistern underground beyond the wash house, near the original kitchen, and we think that James Logan's son William probably deposited all these things. A lot of the blue and white porcelain that we have on display at Stenton now is from the archaeological feature, whereas these burnt china plates actually did survive above ground and were passed down to family members. And I wanted to make a point. 3 of the plates on the table were a gift in 1998 from a Logan descendant who's still living in the UK, Corey Luxmore. And the family had marked this one in particular. Jane Caroline Armat Luxmore was a person to whom this came down to. This was Corey's grandmother. And it says Logan China from Stenton. So these were prized family heirlooms, and the back is almost as interesting in the front, where there's just a little bit of floral decoration, and you can see what was not an uncommon way to mend Chinese porcelain, these staples where the plate had broken. This has a very pretty little kind of lotus pattern and a green or famille verte sort of design. So another, or I should say, some of the American things that are on the table are 3, also from our archaeological collection, wine bottles. And you can see on this particular one a missing feature that is evident on another that doesn't have its top. This is the James Logan seal, so that there would be no doubt who the generous host was providing for the meal, and whose wine cellar the beverage had been decanted from for the dinner. On the silver, the forks and knives, may be by Philadelphia silversmith, a maker named John Carman of the 1780s. And these are also a relatively recent gift from a Logan descendant who also lives in the UK and is a cousin of Corey Luxmore. Her last name is Crawford, and her daughter, Rosemary Ellis Crawford, presented those to the collection. And then finally, 3 of the napkins that we have on the table are family pieces, and they are from the 19th century, and I'm not sure how well maybe the sunlight will catch this, but I believe this may well be for Sarah Rodman Fisher, and our records say these are Fisher family napkins, number 12 here. So as I say, this is a multi-generational Logan family table, and the Fishers lived not too far from Stenton and created the great sort of mills along the Wingahocken Creek. They're just to the north of here, the Wakefield Mill Complex. So one of the other things, I mentioned that James Logan would be seen as the host, the purveyor of the alcohol, but it's actually, and we were looking at Sarah Logan's inventory that she's owning all this china at the time of her death. But the labor and the thought that goes into creating a big meal at a house like Stenton involved, of course, the work of servants, both enslaved and indentured servants, and likely here we don't, again, know exactly who did all of the various household tasks, but it may well be that there were an enslaved cook and enslaved people working in the kitchen. And then we do know that there are servants who have first and last names, who wear livery. There's trim purchased for their coats, and whether they are riding on the coach to town or possibly actually doing the serving within the parlor from the food cupboard when the Logans would be dining at their kind of paired dining tables in here in the early generations. Those 2 men may have been getting the food to the table. But again, behind the scenes involved women, and we have several cookbooks in our collection. This one we think may have belonged to James Logan's wife, Sarah Reed Logan, and we think that for a couple of reasons, but one is it's all kind of, the whole book is written in the same very clear script, and it's indexed, and then there are empty pages at the back and a few that have been written on. SL, receipt for mince pie. And this, we wonder if isn't Sarah Logan kind of writing in her own recipe beyond what was conveyed to her, possibly as a gift at the time of her wedding. She married James Logan in 1714, and there's a print of Queen Anne here on the front, 1715-16 being the date. And so it's a nice connection that this would be something that she may have used kind of to start off her housekeeping. And there's another kind of fun written in receipt here that's really quite scribbly: to make lemon cream. But it seems that there's a flow to the book where it starts with meats and sauces and soups. It ends with sweets and preserves, and just randomly sort of turning. Here we've got a carrot pudding, for an orange or lemon pudding, for an almond pudding. And these are the kinds of recipes then too Sarah would have continued to pass down to her children, her daughter. This is Sarah Logan Norris, who died fairly young in 1722, but the Logan's eldest daughter. And thinking about this legacy of family objects coming to Stenton, and the generosity of many descendants over generations as well, with their objects to the collection. Sarah will be soon making her way here. We want to honor the memory of Peter Luxmore, who died recently, and has left Sarah Logan and William Logan's tall clock to the museum collection by bequest. So I'm so grateful that you've joined us here today. I'm so grateful for the many Logan things that are in this really well-preserved house, with documents to help us fill in the stories. We are so lucky here at Stenton for all we have, and that we're able to research and tell and bring to you the hard stuff and the fun stuff and the beautiful stuff of history. We have all of it here, waiting for you when we open again. I'm going to say sometime in 2021. But as I say, so grateful for your support and following us as we take ourselves into the virtual realm of these little Facebook Live tours and other programs, and we appreciate your support of all kinds. Thank you so much.